My mentor, Alan Nation, founder of Stockman Grass Farmer, used to tell me that in marketing, you can only be so weird. You know, you can either be a Buddhist or you can be a nudist. But a Buddhist nudist, I mean, it's just too weird and people won't buy from you. There's no credibility. So we're going to raise pastured broilers. What breed are we going to use? That's always the very first question. Well, what should I buy? So let's go down through some of the options. One of them, of course, is to get like a heritage breed, some minor breed, heritage breed, or dual purpose. The old standard, the Barred Rock, the Rhode Island Red, New Hampshire Red, Buff Orpington, White Rock, the old Dominickers, these old American dual purpose varieties. And it's interesting to understand that back in the day, these were the breeds that were used for broilers. And to understand that that the way it worked, a chicken lays more eggs in the spring than any other time of year. So the spring was the only time you had extra eggs to hatch. To otherwise, in the late summer, fall, winter, when production was lower, you needed to eat all the eggs. You needed them for cooking and eating. And so spring was when you had your abundance, and that's when you could set some eggs. That's when chickens would tend to go broody and set their eggs. So historically, the dual purpose bird, just like in dairy, the dual purpose cow, that historically, that was the way people got broilers. I remember my wife's grandmother, who lived to 106 months, telling us that when she was a little girl in the 20s, if you wanted chicken for the 4th of July, you had to hatch that bird about the 1st of March in order to have chicken to eat on the 4th of July. So, it's a long time. So these birds grow much, much slower. You're looking at 12 to 16 weeks for a cockerel like that. Arguably, they're more lively. They eat more grass. They're hardier, but they have a razor breast, pretty much all dark meat. And and the older a chicken gets, the tougher the meat gets. Now, it does tend to get tastier. It has a richer, deeper taste, like a stewing hen. A stewing hen has just orange fat and just an incredible taste, but they're tough and hard as nails. So you can never fry them or broil them or anything. You've got to like crock pot them for a long time, or roast them in a roasting pan for like 3 hours for 350. So if you want a tender chicken that you can cook fast, serve in a quick way, the heritage dual purpose bird is a problem. It's a slow cook requirement. Then you come into the Freedom Ranger, which is the same genetics as the French La Belle Rouge bird, and this really took the industry and the nation by storm several years ago, and they grow about 10% slower than the Cornish cross. Arguably, they're a little more active. They still have a nice, heavy breast, but they're a lot more expensive to buy. And again, they're a little bit older, a little bit tougher in order to raise. So, you've got more time. You've got about, 2 more weeks in time growing them. So you need to get that labor cost back, those kinds of things. You got Kosher King, all right? That's those are birds that tend to go. The pullets go to the kosher market, and the cockerels, come to the Gentiles, and we've tried those as well, and those are kind of between the French La Belle Rouge and the heritage birds, kind of a hybrid between those two. So let's go to the Cornish cross. Cornish cross has had a lot of bad press in kind of the homestead artisanal craft movement. But let me tell you something, from a marketing standpoint, Cornish cross is what people are used to seeing. My mentor, Alan Nation, founder of Stockman Grass Farmer, used to tell me that in marketing, you can only be so weird. You can either be a Buddhist or you can be a nudist. But a Buddhist nudist, I mean, it's just too weird and people won't buy from you. There's no credibility. And so here we are, we're telling people, don't buy your chickens at Walmart, and don't buy them already, pre-breaded with a pop-up thermometer in them, and all this jazz. Instead, buy your chicken from us. And if we tell them in addition, you don't want that double breast. Now, you don't want any of that white meat, that double, now you want a razor breast and white meat? Nah, you want dark meat and be able to broil it or fry it. No. You wanna have to cook it for 3 hours. Every bird, you need to cook for 3 hours. You start down that path and suddenly you become a nudist Buddhist. And so from a marketing standpoint, the Cornish cross bird, the phenotype, the look of it in the bag, when you and you set it on the table, the look of it is what people are used to. And so I'm a big believer that as we incrementally move our food system to a better place, we can only move it so far, so fast. And the reason I'm belaboring this is because I run into people all over the country and have for decades. Man, I just can't get anybody to buy these chickens. And you start probing, and the first thing, I'm using these, these heritage breeds, these things, and I'm it's a 3.5 pound bird. What are you charging? Well, I'm charging, $30 for a 3.5 pound bird. Well, suddenly, you've got a weird bird, you've got an exorbitant price, and as you move toward weirdness and price disadvantage, your pool of people, if we say the base here, this is those are people that eat for food from the filling station, and the peak up here are people that know what to do with a stewing hen, for example. As you move price up, and weirdness up, your pool of customers gets smaller and smaller as you move toward this top. And so at the outset, let me just tell you, I have no problem with the heritage breeds. I have no problem with the dual purpose. In fact, I'd be happy if that's what we used for everything. But we are trying to actually create a credible alternative to the factory farm system. In other words, my first goal is that there not be a factory farm anywhere. Not in Cargill, not anywhere in the world. There's no need for it. We don't need it. And the fact is, we're not going to make that big a leap in the cultural market. We're not going to make that big a leap in one jump. All right, it's going to be multiple jumps. And so the Cornish cross offers a phenotype and a physiology that looks like what people are used to in the grocery store. But let me tell you, when you raise it on pasture, the way I'm going to describe, taste, the texture, the quality, everything is completely different on this chicken. But it looks similar. And that's the point. It's a tremendous marketing advantage when you're out there trying to sell it to your neighbors and your church friends and family members and things like that.